Alright, let's dive into something that's been buzzing in the space community lately. NASA's decision to repurpose the HALO module from the now-shelved Gateway Lunar Station. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let me hit you with this. What if the real story here isn't about what NASA is doing, but why they are doing it? Personally, I think this move is a masterclass in adaptability, a reminder that even in space exploration, plans are never set in stone. So, let's break it down. First off, the Gateway Station was supposed to be this grand orbiting hub for Artemis astronauts, a stepping stone to the moon. But here's the thing, the HALO module, which was meant to be part of it, is now being repurposed for something called the Lunar Infrastructure Demo, LID, missions. What makes this really interesting is that NASA and Northrop Grumman are essentially turning a setback into an opportunity. Instead of letting HALO gather dust, they're using it to test technologies for long-term lunar survival. From my perspective, this is NASA at its most pragmatic, taking a $1.9 billion asset and finding a way to make it useful, even if it's not for its original purpose. Now, let's talk about the LID missions. These aren't just random tests, they're specifically designed to tackle the moon's south pole, where temperatures swing from minus 334 degrees Fahrenheit to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like going from the coldest freezer to a scorching desert in the same day. What many people don't realize is that these extreme conditions are one of the biggest hurdles for establishing a permanent lunar base. So, by focusing on this, NASA isn't just testing tech, they're laying the groundwork for humanity's future on the moon. If you take a step back and think about it, this is less about the missions themselves and more about the bigger picture, making the moon a place where humans can actually live and work. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. The HALO module's journey has been anything but smooth. Corrosion issues, schedule delays, and cost overruns plagued the project. One thing that immediately stands out is how these challenges reflect the broader struggles of the Artemis program. The Gateway Station was supposed to be operational by 2032, but with HALO's delays, the timeline was looking more like a pipe dream. What this really suggests is that NASA's decision to pivot wasn't just about saving money, it was about salvaging credibility and momentum. In my opinion, this is a textbook example of how space agencies have to balance ambition with realism. Now, let's talk about the cost. The HALO contract ballooned from $187 million to $1.9 billion over the years. A detail I find fascinating is how this mirrors the challenges of long-term space projects. Space exploration is expensive, and when you're dealing with cutting-edge tech, delays and setbacks are almost inevitable. But what's really striking here is how NASA and Northrop Grumman are handling it. Instead of scrapping HALO entirely, they're finding a way to make it work. From my perspective, this is less about cutting losses and more about maximizing value, a lesson any organization could learn from. Finally, let's zoom out for a second. What does this all mean for the future of lunar exploration? Personally, I think it's a sign that NASA is getting serious about sustainability. The LID missions aren't just about testing tech, they're about building a blueprint for a moon base. This raises a deeper question. What does a sustained human presence on the moon actually look like? Is it just about planting flags and taking selfies, or is it about creating a self-sustaining outpost that can support scientific research for decades? In my opinion, NASA's pivot with HALO is a step toward the latter. So, here's my closing thought. Space exploration is messy, expensive, and full of setbacks. But what makes it so compelling is how we adapt to those challenges. NASA's decision to repurpose HALO isn't just about saving a project, it's about redefining what's possible. And if there's one thing this story teaches us, it's that the journey to the moon is as much about innovation as it is about resilience. What do you think? Is this the right move for NASA, or is there more to the story? Let me know in the comments below.